Greetings from RV College of Engineering. First of all, let me welcome Mr. Manu Saale, who is the Managing Director and CEO of Mercedes-Benz Research and Development India, for a useful discussion on the automotive sector and how it is performing in the Indian scenario. So let me tell you that if you take 1990s, the contribution of auto sector to overall economy of the GDP of the country was around 2.5 to 3%. But in the last 20 years, you see a lot of changes which has happened in the whole of the automobile industry. And if you look into the statistics of 2023, it is adding to around 7.1% in the GDP of the country. So that means it has a lot of changes have happened in the whole of the sector. And I'm sure in future, a lot of more changes are going to happen. So in order to know the what is happening in the whole of the auto sector, we have with us Manu Saale, and he is going to just tell us about the landscape of the auto industry, which I will be asking him some questions for which he will be replying. I hope this kind of an information will be helpful for all the stakeholders of either education or the industry to take their what all the strategies they have in future also to be well and see that by 2047, I think whatever is the mission Indian government is going to look for could also be achieved. Good afternoon, Manu. So let me welcome you to this discussion. So I will be posing some questions to know about the auto sector, whatever is happening. So let me start from a question that, as you know, that automobile sector is contributing very well to the country's growth. So I'd like to know what are the recent advancements in the whole of the auto sector which has happened, so that the viewers can get a benefit out of it.
Thank you, and good afternoon. Thanks for the invite, and I'm very, very happy to be speaking to you here today. Very interesting question to begin with, and you rightly pointed out that the auto sector and its contributions over the last years has significantly improved in India, but also around the world. The car was invented in 1886, so it's close to 140 years since the automobile was invented. Mercedes-Benz invented the car long ago. And over the last more than a century now, the car has undergone a lot of changes. As a mode of transport, as a means of business, taking people from point A to point B, either privately or for commercial, I think the car has undergone a lot of changes. Despite all of this, we believe, even at the company that invented the car, that a host of things that happened in the past were all nearly called incremental innovations. But what's going on right now is disruptive. It's absolutely revolutionary. Even for some of us who have spent close to 3 decades in the auto industry, whatever is happening now is a big positive change and a surprise. At Mercedes-Benz, the company that invented the car, would love to reinvent it, and therefore at the forefront of several of these changes that are happening. And for our viewers today, I can name at least 3 big ones. The first one, I think that all of us keenly follow, is electrification. It's one of the biggest revolutions and changes that's happening in the auto industry right now. The second one that's actually happening in the auto industry is everything to do with digitalization. The role that software plays in a car, the role that software plays in designing cars, in producing them, the role software plays within the car and outside the car is redefining the way we all look at mobility as a business. And I think that's the second big thing that is changing. And with the role of technology being so advanced, there's a third important pillar, if I may, that's revolutionizing the industry, which is autonomous driving. So these are, I think, the 3 call-outs that actually engage maximum engineering bandwidth right now, thought process right now, also innovation right now. And I think in the next couple of years to a decade, we would see a strong move in the world from fossil fuels to electrification. We would see digital playing an absolutely important role in redefining how a car works, how a car is perceived, how a car is thought about. And last but not the least, can we drive autonomously around the world under different infrastructure conditions would really be the changes that we are looking forward to.
So thank you. I think it is a nice information. So I think to summarize, we can take the advancements in the technologies, the digitalization, and the digitization, what is happening, and also looking at the autonomous status. So you say these are the three changes which have recently happened. So in continuation with whatever the statements you made, so now people are talking about the electric vehicles, so which is going to take a long stride in the future. So can you just tell us about this EV movement, whatever is happening, either in the two-wheel sector or the four-wheel sector, how it's going to take off in the future?
Yeah, I think an interesting next take would be naturally to discuss electrification, because when something under the hood and that's been given in terms of gasoline and diesel that we have been experiencing changes, I think the whole world is to adapt to it, both from an OE perspective, people who manufacture these vehicles, but also from a user perspective on how do you adapt yourself to an electric vehicle right now. And I think this is at the core of the transformation in the auto sector right now. Depending on the segment that we are talking about, 2, 3-wheelers in Asian countries, mostly 4-wheelers and personal cars that we're talking about in the Western sectors. I think the role of technology, the maturity of the battery, which is at the heart of the new powertrain right now, and the related electronics that drive a battery system are at the heart of change. For starters, I think the world is just adapting to battery electric vehicles. You see that in the uptake curve as well. We believe that at Mercedes-Benz too, watching the market, that it's not so much the policies and the governments, but more the consumers who are going to define when they're going to make this switch over, right? And the switchover is nothing to do with how many cars you sell or what money you make selling BEVs. It is more about when do people take to electric mobility as naturally as they did to other combustion systems. Today, there are lots of factors that stand in the way. One of them that's mostly spoken about in the consumer world is range anxiety. How do I charge my car? Can the juice in the battery last for my long distance, short distance journey? How convenient is it to charge? How much does it cost? Is it a fast charger or a slow charger? Can I do it at home? Do I need a commercial station to do it? I think there are a host of factors for such a big shift, if you may, in the society to move from a quick tank fill up for a diesel petrol to move into a topic called charging. From an engineering perspective, I think it's a huge challenge because you're suddenly talking about a high voltage electrical system in a car. An exciting time for engineers, both mechanical and electrical electronics, who are looking at redesigning the whole system from a risk safety perspective, drivability, crash scenarios. I think there's a whole world that needs to be discovered again along with the BEVs. What is coming along with it automatically is zero tailpipe emissions, which the world is so much looking forward to because, after having signed the Paris Agreement, the entire world is busy, and certainly the corporate world, the automotive world of all the things is busy redesigning their systems for a greener product, a carbon neutral product. And one of the first impacts you'll see on carbon neutrality is with the car itself. Unknown to the consumer, plant and machinery around the world, supply chains are also being greened. As we speak, there's a carbon neutral discussion going on through the entire chain. But I think we are talking consumers today, and therefore tailpipe emissions and having a zero emission car at your doorstep in your garage, I think is the first things that people will notice. Mercedes-Benz has an ambition, 2039 as we call it, Ambition 2039. By 2039, actually by the end of this decade already, we'd have a fleet of electric vehicles in our entire portfolio. And we'll tell you how we see the shift happening right now. Consumers who are driving combustion engines, internal combustion engines, are already looking for an electrified variant of it, which means there's a lot of focus on hybrids, plug-in hybrids, which is a shift from a pure ICE engine into an electrically assisted powertrain under the hood. We believe this is a transition to go into a fully electric mode, and that will happen too. Societies will benefit at large because emissions, local emissions right under your nostrils will reduce significantly due to this. And we believe that this is the way to go with carbon neutrality as a commitment from corporates and nations around the world. The shift is just inevitable.
Okay, so we saw the development of a conventional vehicle to a EV vehicle, but as you know that there are a lot of challenges and opportunities in all these areas. So as you know that you have sustainable development goals, which are 17 in number. But I think now all the companies are focusing on ESG, environment, society, and the governance. So obviously, if EV comes, the thing they look at is the recycling part of it, the battery management part of it. So how do you feel that companies can cope up with the sustainability? So what are the challenges as of now, and how it can be overcome?
This is a very good question, and the hottest discussion, if I may say, within engineering circles right now, also at Mercedes-Benz. Sustainability is hardly only about moving to a battery electric vehicle. It's way more than that. When you have your plant and machinery, like I said, and the supply chain committed to neutrality, you'll find that we need to at the least reinvent a lot of things that we have taken for granted and has been working in a certain way so far. Engineers in all fields of work, mechanical, electrical, electronics for sure, computer science from a green coding perspective, will all have to look at sustainability as their own business. Sustainability is not mere lip service anymore. It is completely redesigning or helping us redesign our products for a greener future. Having said that, I think if you take an automobile, you started with ESG, and you know it's environment, societal, and governance, and there's a lot of sub-chapters within that. Both of us are familiar with all the 17 SDG parameters, including equalities and conservation of water, air, the rest of the environment, habitat. Data protection, right? Innovation, infrastructure. There are so many important things there. And you soon realize as an engineer that all of these parameters, or most of these parameters, have a bearing on the automobile industry. We are looking at gender equality with renewed lenses. We're looking at labor with renewed lenses, considering where the batteries and their raw materials come from. We're looking at data, because we deal with a lot of customer data with renewed lenses, with SDG lenses, if I may. And most importantly, for the product engineers, this is like a chance to analyze cradle to grave every single component in the car and redesign it for sustainability. Imagine having a greener alternative to every steel, aluminium, leather, plastic, PE components that a car is comprised of, right? So if you and I draw a pie chart of all the different materials that are used in producing a car, and kind of expand it even with the software content inside it and so on, you'll immediately recognize that to find a greener alternative for this is to redesign the car completely. And I think at Mercedes-Benz, we are busy doing this right now, literally reinventing the greener alternative of the car. Like you said, it's visible with the tailpipe emissions and the battery straight and what you recycle with the battery, but it goes way beyond it at Mercedes-Benz, because we're literally analyzing every of our component for its cradle to grave analysis.
Okay. So now what happens is, if you look at the cost part of it, so typically we are all working on the economic cost when we buy certain things. But now if you talk about a sustainable cost, it has an economic cost, which is a component. It has got a social cost, and it has got an environmental cost. So how companies are putting all these costs together? I'm sure at the end of the day, for a customer, the price of a car may be higher with all these kinds of complexities incorporated. So do you feel this sustainability cost obviously would be higher than the economic cost, but what should be the affordability? I think, is it possible for people to buy? Of course, Mercedes-Benz is one level of a car, but there are a lot of other sectors in this total segment is there. But if you go on incorporating all these features, do you feel that it will be affordable for the customer?
You answered it yourself. You said sustainability is at a higher cost than a product, any product, right? Correct. Any alternative non-green product itself. I think therein lies one of the answers. But the other one is, I think the responsibility lies with all of us. Regulators, governments are also pitching in to support both the consumer and the industry. Whatever you and I are calling as, subsidies and SOPs are all the government's way of encouraging and making sure that products and services are economically viable and don't get innately expensive right now as we redesign it in the name of sustainability. Okay. But I know that there is this curve will go up, and there is a point of stabilization as well, just like everything else did. Until then, I think the society and government and regulators, policymakers do have a keen sense to make sure the planet, doesn't lose its path because we are in the middle of a transformation.
Okay. So that means you hope maybe in the next decade the cost may come down.
Absolutely.
Maybe. Okay. So that the buying power is there for the people now, but it should also be balanced.
In general, I think it just will follow the curve of demand and supply,
Okay.
and will settle down. Fine.
So, okay, fine. So we knew something about the automobile sector, but as always we complain between the academic and industry that the gap, what is taught in the academia versus what is required by the industry. So people always say there is a gap. But now what has happened is after implementing the national education policy, I think government is also putting a lot of effort on the skill development part of it. So from an industry perspective, even though we may be doing certain things already, so what would be your take on what industry is looking for in all these technologies from the academic institution point of view, so that we can start implementing slowly one by one? So what is your take on that?
Well, thank you. Interesting question, and I think the most debated one right now in the circles. You are an excellent academician yourself, and you know that India has been producing the maximum number of engineers for the demography that we have, and that's a need of the hour itself, not only for us here in India, but also for the world. I think India is the source of talent, both from an age group perspective, energy, passion, thinking, but also most importantly from a technical perspective, with the number of engineers that are coming out of universities every year. They've been doing excellently well. You and I know stories from the 70s where Indians have not only done well here in the country, but gone abroad and are today in very, very important business corporate positions, not only in engineering, but other fields as well. So we have a good track record, let's say, of saving the world, if I may say. We need to continue this on one hand. But to your question, as the challenges in the industry has changed, and we spoke about it in the last couple of questions specific to automobile, but also probably, how the rest of the world is grappling with sustainability as a topic. We spoke sustainability through automotive lenses, but you and I know that if you were in another field of work, societal field of work, environmental engineering field of work, you too have a big challenge on hand to save the planet. So the kind of jobs in the world is changing rapidly right now for all fields of work. That includes you and me too, because I'm sure you're looking to teach our students differently, getting them ready to face the new challenges in the world. And we at the corporate with our products are also trying to solve some of these problems with our technology. And the need for the hour is to reduce the gap between these two sectors in some ways. Indian engineering is celebrated. It's celebrated because I think we are extremely strong on theory, therefore on fundamentals. What we'd love to do is to see Indian engineering get a little more hands-on experience, more problem-solving capabilities from the industry, more knowledge of the current state of the world and its products and what needs to be solved. The pace of change is also demanding right now. I don't think we have time on hands to save the world, to reinvent our products. I think it's all happening at a fast pace. And needless to mention, a topic that you and I have been discussing offline as well, the role of technology in this whole thing. Every engineer, has to be digitally aware, has to know a bit of data, has to know a bit of AI, like we speak often. So I think if the academia and industry is able to reduce this gap, add on a little bit of more practical experience to a strong theory that you already impart to the students, I think we'll make a great team and continue to save the world from India.
Okay. So thank you. I think we have got some information on what changes to be made. But as you know, Manu, we are actually running a certification course for the students who have completed diploma and engineering in mechanical, electrical and electronics related branches of engineering. And this is called ADAMS course, that is Advanced Diploma in Automotive Mechatronics. And we are running this for quite some time. And we look to be a good model for filling up the gap between what industry needs and what academia is teaching. So do you feel, because what happens is generally students are also burdened with coping up with the regular education, and still our examination system, a lot of improvement has to happen in that. So managing that versus doing these certification courses. So there is always a drawing the line is very important. So how do you feel this kind of certification courses, apart from the regular education, would be helpful to the students? Either it could be in terms of the knowledge gaining or it could be in terms of the employment opportunity. So do you feel such certificate courses have to be increased in the institutions?
Well, I think as we spoke about in the last question as well, the time for an individual as a student, I think, is the time where he or she has to work the hardest. Right? We all did that.
Yeah.
And I'd encourage our student community as well to follow that trend and give their best during this time of their curriculum and professional growth and development. Adam, as an example, and the way you at RV have been conducting that course is exemplary. It's really going on very well. We are pleased to see the results that's coming out of Adam. And I believe, like I mentioned in my last question as well, Adam is really giving the students that added advantage of adding practical experience along with the theory that is already imparted as part of the engineering curriculum. I think this is the reason why we see an uptake, a demand for more and more practical training in the industry. I'd wish we continue something like that, encourage the students, show them actually where this is leading them, even if it means they have to put in a few extra hours during that prime age of theirs to be able to complete theory classes on one hand and the certification program on the other. For our viewers, I think we also know that Adam is bearing its first fruits. Employment opportunities are coming up, not only in this country, but also in foreign countries. And I think this goes on to further prove that we are on the right track together with Adam.
So thank you. Actually, I should thank Mercedes-Benz for actually helping us in running this program in a very effective way. And as a last question, I'd like to ask you that such certificate program like Adam's, what should be the future you are looking into if I want to enhance whatever I'm doing? So what will be the future in such courses you are looking into?
Well, with Adam, I think we're focused on the auto industry and car as a segment. As we spoke, the car is technologically completely being upgraded. This also means that anybody who has to deal with the car, our consumers, of course, will get a good user manual digitally to understand what he or she owns. But on the back end, the company, the service network that we are dealing with, the customer support center, everybody has to understand a product that's technologically very, very advanced. And I think I'm expecting that we could really look at training people in understanding a high-tech product like this, having a piece of artificial intelligence working in the car already means there's some bit of a magic when it comes to consumers. If you have to debug it, decode it, if you need to fix it, the kind of technological and technical competence that's needed on the back end itself. So I'm excited to discuss such possibilities with you, and I think we can only take the first success to the next level together.
So do you feel that as of now, these kind of courses are, say, related branches only are there? So do you think it is going to become more interdisciplinary in future? Because what's happening is a computer science student might not have studied any automobile related courses. But do you feel such kind of a interdisciplinary thing will also be helpful at large to the students?
Well, a computer science engineer may not have studied automotive as her or his product choice, but it's time that he or she knows that computer science will play an increasingly important role in designing and defining an automobile going ahead, or for that matter, any other product, healthcare, buildings, whatever we talk about. Digitalization and software will play its part in every single product. It's already playing a part and will continue to play a part in every single product that we're talking about. So all I can confirm what you said, the world of engineering is getting more and more connected and interdisciplinary. And the more they get to kind of mix a little bit their knowledge, show their interest to understand how product engineering works, I think every field of engineering will benefit out of it.
So thank you, Manu. I think this is what we wanted to convey to the viewers, what is happening in the automobile industry and how industry and the institution get connected. I think we had a very good information on what's happening in the world, and let us all join together in doing a better service to the country in terms of developing good products, a sustainable product, and hope all of us are happy. Once again, thank Manu for a nice interaction with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you too.